cautious optimism. After a tough week, markets get a lift as SpaceX releases the animal spirits and a ceasefire in the Middle East inches closer. Can the momentum be sustained? Liftoff. The biggest IPO in history makes Elon Musk the world's first trillionaire and unleashes a wave of capital. Is this the start of SpaceX's journey to the moon, or is gravity about to kick in? And we'll have Aaron with the TA, tweets of the week, dates for your diary, and much more besides. This is the Coin Bureau News, live.
GM, boys and girls, one and all, happy Monday and welcome back to another episode of the Coin Bureau Weekly News live stream. My name is Nick. Guy, did you miss the memo? We are now manifesting green. What's going on?
Oh, right.
It's green candles.
Green plants.
Come on.
Green, there's quite a lot of greenery here. I manifest green every single day.
If the market tanks during the stream and we fall back below 60K, I'm going to blame it on your choice of apparel.
Okay, I mean this is orange. This is like burnt orange or something. So it doesn't count as red. Anyway, it's good that we're contrasting.
It is, ebony and ivory. But yeah, it's an exciting time now because, the markets are opening up. Bitcoin's rallied above 66K. There's news of a potential Iran deal, an MOU, which is not really a deal, but there is movement there. We had an epic IPO last week, which we'll be talking about as well. So there's a lot going on right now. It's actually quite an exciting time in the markets.
Yeah. It feels like there's a sort of general sense of optimism in all markets, really. And I think the SpaceX IPO is a big part of that. But we'll get onto that a bit later.
Yeah, we'll get onto that. So as per usual, guys, we're going to go and dive into what happened last week. It was a very, very eventful week in crypto and macro. And then we'll be taking a deeper dive into SpaceX. Of course, we've got our own few thoughts on this. It was a monumental IPO, that's for sure. But one has to wonder whether that valuation is really justified. Over $2 trillion for a brand new listing. So we'll be diving into that. And then we'll also be doing some TA with Aaron this time. Aaron's joining us again, tweets of the week, and all your regular dose of the Coin Bureau live stream. But before we dive into that, guys, please fire up the likes. Guy, what target should we aim for this week?
Should we go for 20% again?
20%, 200. I'm sure these guys can pull it off. Come on, right now there's optimism again. We should have more people with us in the stream. We should be able to hit that. So, guys, hit the 200 likes, and what will we offer them in return, Guy? What tidings shall we bring? Good tidings shall we bring next week for them?
We can bring even better. I tell you what, I will. I'll grow my beard out until next week, so they can have extra bearded me.
How much more can you actually grow in a week, though? That's a question.
A fair old bit. I mean, we're not talking ZZ Top here, but if there's one thing I'm good at, it's growing facial hair. That's about it.
Okay, cool. Well, guys, if you want to see that, fire up. Let's get it to 200 likes. And with that out of the way, let's dive in with a run back of the week last week. And it opened on Monday with news that OpenAI had confidentially filed for an IPO.
Yep. This is another big one. SpaceX has set the record. Maybe OpenAI will break it. I don't think OpenAI's valuation is quite as high, but we are in crazy IPO season. Bank of America on Monday, though, was sounding a note of caution and said, take profits.
Yeah. And if you'd listened to them, well, you would have missed out on some potential gains now. But it is true. One has to wonder, by all objective measures, we should be close to a top in terms of equity risk premiums, in terms of the hype around the AI trade, concentration of stocks, historical parallels to .com. So they do have a point, but time in the top is incredibly fraught. Tuesday came around and there was more talk of clarity. The Clarity Act, it's the crucial high stakes talks are going on. And well, actually the odds of clarity passing are dropping. So Galaxy Digital had the odds at 60%, whereas I believe the prediction markets odds are at about 50%.
Okay, so it's and as we've said many times before, time is very much running out on that. Bitcoin was having a shocker last week. It fell first to 62k, then to 61k. It just could not catch a bid.
Yeah, and this I think may have been related to news of another flare-up in the Strait of Hormuz. This time, apparently, a drone brought down a Apache helicopter.
Wow.
That's asymmetric warfare for you in one headline. A $20,000 drone taking down a $20 million helicopter.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? It's sort of like it's kind of a metaphor for how much it's changed, because like I think, once upon a time the Apache was like the most advanced piece of equipment on earth, and now as you say, you've got like cheap drones just blowing them out the sky. It's
flying lawnmower taking down a bloody a super advanced piece of military technology. It's crazy. This also led to a fall in stocks. Stocks fell on that day. We saw at least $2 trillion wiped out from the US stock markets.
Yeah. So that took us into Wednesday, and we had Trump coming out again. New strikes on Iranian infrastructure. So clearly trying to ramp things up to get a deal over the line.
Yeah, and this led to a fall in markets, and indeed also the gold and silver. They fell to their lowest level of 2026, which is super surprising.
Yeah, that rally just was. It was such a. They went on such a tear, didn't they? And if you'd said to someone when they were climbing initially, oh well, soon there's going to be a war in the Middle East and more and more global uncertainty, you would have thought that they would have continued running, but quite the opposite.
Yeah, the de-dollarization, the inflation, it's just crazy. But I think it's related to, interestingly, to the Iran war, in the sense that it caused countries like Turkey, which had run out of revenue, to sell out of their gold reserves to stabilize the currency, and a few other things. But we did also have an important data point out, an economic data point on Wednesday, and this was the CPI numbers, and they came out in line with expectations, albeit they were still quite high. So it's the highest since 2022.
Yeah, and that was probably the reason that stocks took a tumble on that day as well. And oh yes, we cited that tweet from Brian Johnson last week, didn't we?
Never miss a moment for some nice red light therapy.
Okay, and then on Thursday we had the first round of rate hikes from a major central bank, and that was the ECB, the European Central Bank. So rates in the Eurozone raised by 25 basis points, possibly more to come.
Yeah, the Euro poors have to pay more for debt now. Strikes were called off as well, so that was a boon for the markets. Trump said that they were actually close to a deal, which I would understand if people were quite skeptical, given that in the past we've heard that quite often.
Yeah. I think they've been totted up, and I think up to today, I think this is the 39th time today that Trump has said a ceasefire is near. So that's what you can understand why people are taking that with a grain of salt. But that news on Thursday did send stocks flying again.
Yep, it did. Added 1.1 trillion to the stock market cap. And then on Friday, this was the big day, the one and only, the liftoff, the proverbial liftoff on the NASDAQ for a company that specializes in liftoffs. This was SpaceX. It began the day trading monumental IPO, biggest in history, considerably larger, nearly 3 to 4 times larger than anything else before. And we'll be diving into that a bit more. There was a lot of questions around how it would trade on the day, and indeed it did pop. It had a first day IPO pop of 11%. It closed, or it opened at $150, 11% above its price, and it closed a bit higher than that as well.
Yeah, so much excitement. It really was anyone was talking about, wasn't it? And then on Friday night, we also had this breaking news. This concerns that Anthropic has been forced to shut off access to its latest models. So that's Fable and Mythos. To limit that access only to US users.
Yeah, it's crazy. What's more interesting is the fact that it was actually discovered. So there was apparently a jailbreak that an Amazon researcher was able to discover that would allow them to jailbreak it and allow anyone using Fable to get the functionality of the more advanced Mythos that they try to keep away from the market. I think it's also quite interesting because the definition of Fable. It's a quote, a short fictional story intended to teach a moral lesson. So, short but sweet access to Fable, quite fitting.
Yeah, there's some irony at work there, isn't there? And it's interesting. I've seen quite a lot of commentary on this, quite a lot of talk about it, and a lot of people saying like this is probably only the beginning. This is technology that's being developed largely in the United States, and there's a real sense that it's like, well, this is something, this is so powerful. We don't want to necessarily share it, or the government wants to get kind of first look at it. And a lot of people saying like this is probably only the beginning as far as this sort of thing is concerned.
Yeah. Then it took us to the weekend on finally we got some inflows to those Bitcoin ETFs. It's quite a stark change from the stark outflows we'd seen over the past 3 weeks. You see like massive red candles in terms of daily outflows, and we get 85.9 million in inflows finally on Friday. You got to celebrate all your wins. It ain't much, but it's something.
Exactly
how the tables have turned. Thank God it's green and not red.
Yeah, that was a pretty long and miserable streak of outflows, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we also had some good news around Iran as well.
Yeah, so this was the announcement yesterday on Trump's birthday, I might add. On the same day as Trump's birthday and the UFC White House fight, that managed to get the announcement out that the deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran is now complete, and the Strait of Hormuz would be opening. Because, as we know, the US was fully in control of the Strait of Hormuz throughout the entire crisis. But the most important point here is that I know that Trump says, as you mentioned, 39 times, fool me once, shame on me, fool me 39 times. Really big shame on me. But it was officially confirmed by Iran.
Okay. So this isn't just Trump trolling us. Okay. So and that is due to be signed on Friday, I believe, in Switzerland.
Yes, exactly. Now, I did hear, although, that it was going to be a DocuSign of some description, like a. Imagine JD Vance gets a DocuSign link. Please sign. Please sign the Iran MOU. But maybe it's going to be in person. Who knows? Bitcoin broke above 65K. Oil plunged. We've had news today that the Nikkei was rallying ahead. We've got a lot to look forward to in terms of the stock market today. And that then brings us to what's to come this week. So as I mentioned, busy week. There's the Iran MOU. We have to focus. I mean, to be honest, it's only been 24 hours, or a little more than 24 hours. So hopefully it holds. It's still very, very tenuous because any sort of little misunderstanding or conflagration can lead to a collapse of it again. We haven't even got to the MOU, and as we say, an MOU is not legally binding. It's just an understanding. Israel is not necessarily party to this, and I don't think they necessarily want a deal to be done. But that's on the Iran side. We've got the Wash FOMC coming up, the BOJ decision, which is tomorrow, which we'll talk about in a bit, and then SpaceX, which we'll get to as well. Pre-market is up, though. Some stock market is looking good, and it's likely to open up green in the US. In terms of the charts, very quickly, I'll show you guys 2 Bitcoin charts, both for the weekly. Firstly, this chart, I've been pointing to this for the past few weeks, and we did manage to close the week again above the 200-week simple moving average. So that previous resistance or zone of support that had been a support for all previous bear markets has now managed to hold, it seems, and we're above it again. So that's a good sign, although I will want to see us recovering above the 200-week exponential to confirm there's some sort of a strong recovery going on here. Another thing I want to point out is this is the weekly RSI of Bitcoin going back since the 2018, so previous bear markets. And generally, I think that if you look at the averages, 41.5 on the RSI, and the RSI is a momentum indicator, relative strength index, that has previously been a differentiator between bull trends and bear trends in terms of the RSI. Previous bear markets, we've had an RSI that had remained below 41.5, and then the bull markets and the bull trends start when it goes back above. So TLDR, I would like to see the RSI go back above 41.5 before we can really say that we're back in bull trend and bull momentum. So keep those levels at watch, guys. And if you are feeling bullish about the markets right now and you want to trade crypto or indeed TradFi products, then we couldn't think of a better place to do that than on our first brand partner.
Hey, I want to give a big shout out to the sponsors of this live stream, Binance. Now, if you need an exchange that has loads of trading pairs, loads of liquidity, and a fantastic interface to boot, then Binance is the place to go. And if you sign up using this QR code, you're not only eligible for up to $600 in sign-up bonuses, but you'll also get a 20% trading fee discount for life. Yes, that is for life. So a big thanks to Binance for sponsoring this stream. And speaking of which, let's get back to it.
Okay, shall we, Nick? Do you want a quick sentiment check before we
I first want to note that I just want to note that Ben's chair is in the chat.
Fantastic.
Ben's chair's here. Great.
Ben's chair, thank you for supporting us as well. It's great to see you, but a cross-pollination between the two channels. So going back through Trash from the Underground loves the orange. There we are. So the orange can make a return. We have a French Canadian watching live for once. The only thing that makes me slightly nervous is their handle, which doesn't fill me with confidence. But it's good to have you here anyway. Crazy shooting. And Atul is saying we need an updated video on helium. It has been a long time. Actually, one of our Coin Bureau Club researchers has done an excellent research feed post on helium recently, which, if you're a member of the Coin Bureau Club, I do recommend checking that out. Did you know that helium had recently been bought by Andrew Yang's company?
No, not at all. Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't actually know that Andrew Yang had a mobile startup, but he does. And it bought helium, I think, a couple of weeks ago now.
Great. So now I've discovered that not only is helium still alive, but it's been purchased. Interesting. Andrew Yang is the Mechanism Capital guy, right?
Yes, he was the guy who wanted to run for president on the sort of I think.
Sorry, I'm thinking Andrew Kang. Sorry, I'm thinking of the crypto Andrew. Yeah, Andrew Yang. Right. Okay. Yes, he was independent who wanted to run for president. That's interesting.
Yeah. We have Purple Wave 999 watching from Boracay in the Philippines, I believe. Okay. Always good to see. And 38 Wheels 15 is not feeling the IPO love. Wait until the October crash on the S&P and see how these stupid IPOs go and who's left holding the bags. October, okay. How do you know this 38 Wheels 15? Where are you getting your information from?
I don't know, man. I mean, October's been bad luck for us in the past, right? 10.
Yeah. I mean, our current woes in the crypto market are very much attributable to.
It's also just before the November midterms, and we could see momentum going towards the Democrats, and that could be a big risk.
38 Wheels 15, you will be immortalized forever if your October crash prediction comes true. So let's bookmark this and return to it in October. Okay, Nick, shall we talk about SpaceX then?
SpaceX, yeah. I mean, it was, like I say, it was liftoff on the day me and you were celebrating our trip to the moon.
Yes.
With, in the new SpaceX capsule. Suited up, ready to participate in the IPO and the pandemonium. So let's quickly run through a few things so for everyone to be on the same page here. So it was priced at $135 a share, which is about a $1.75 to $1.78 trillion valuation. And on the first day, we opened at $150, and then we closed up about 19% at $160. And the after hours took it over 166 to a 2.2 trillion market cap.
Yeah, those are some impressive numbers. So I think we should look at the bull and bear case for whether these numbers are justified or just totally insane. So Nick, I'll take the bull case, and then you can be the Debbie Downer with the bear case. So the bull case is that they've increased last year's revenue by 95x. It was 18.7 billion, growing fast. So this is a company that is making money, and it is increasing the amount of money it makes. Starlink, which is obviously a big part of SpaceX, has a 39% operating margin. It has just shy of 10,000 satellites, which is 15 times its nearest competitor. Meanwhile, the AI division, which I think is kind of XAI and Grok and what have you, $3.2 billion in revenue last year. By 2030, Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley predict that will rise to between 190 and $322 billion. So, a fairly, 100x of it at that
100x in 4 years. Good luck.
Okay.
I mean, with that said, I got to dive into the bear case. So what's interesting here is that, firstly, an interesting factoid. So I think this is the most banking book runners that have ever been involved in an IPO deal. I think 23 in total. And at banks, generally you have a rule where a bank is not allowed to cover an IPO in terms of its research division if the bank is participating as a book runner on the equity side of it. And because so many of the banks are doing it, you didn't get many independent research from large research shops on Wall Street, from the big bulge bracket investment banks. So you didn't have much to go on in terms of analysis and research. But there was one from Morningstar, which isn't an investment bank. And they said that the actual fair value for the shares was $63, which is 53% below the 135. And they said that the true TAM, or total addressable market, was $129 billion, not the $1.6 trillion claimed in the S1. And for another point they made is that a big part of the valuation is based on the AI data center division, which is entirely theoretical, the whole orbital data center idea and proposition. So, there's not really much meaningful revenue there. And as a company itself, it's a loss-making company. There's been a $4.9 billion loss in 2025.
Yeah. But there's strong, both cases have some strong numbers backing them up. It's hard to know, but let's have a look at the demand then. Who bought and how much they bought? So the sale was over 3x oversubscribed at the final close, and BlackRock alone placed a $5 billion order. And fact fans, that is the single biggest in IPO history for one firm.
Yeah, insane. And Elon Musk, the big institutions were one thing, but he was really interested in the die-hard retail investors. So there was $70 billion in requests from retail, and Musk was deliberately caught in retail as, quote, price-insensitive buyers who back his vision.
Okay. So yeah, he very much wanted this to be something that everyone was in on. And yeah, so I mean, as Ben Cowan has said, never bet against Elon Musk, and a lot of other people share that view. But I think something important that we need to talk about, and this obviously supports the bull case, I think much more than the bear case, is index inclusion, because there is a mechanical buying wave heading towards SpaceX, and that's because of NASDAQ fast entry rules. So these new rules mean that SpaceX is able to join the NASDAQ 100 within 15 trading sessions of listing, whereas in the past that would have taken a lot longer.
Exactly. And the point here is that the passive funds are not allowed to buy IPOs. They must wait for index inclusion. But when when SpaceX is included in the index, they have to buy it because they are tracking the index. So it's passive capital that is forced to allocate to SpaceX.
Yeah. So, okay, let's have a look at the sort of 6 to 12 month outlook then, and see if we can get an idea of where this might go. Now, this will sound familiar to anyone who's ever invested in an altcoin. There is a bit of a lockup overhang in terms of shares hitting the market very soon, right?
Yeah, so the vast majority of SpaceX's cap table bought in at less than 5% of the current valuation. So they're massively up. And the lockup periods typically last about 6 months. So massive insider selling wave could be expected in H2 2026.
Okay, and it's worth pointing out that early investors who collectively put in sort of $1 to $2 billion are now sitting on 50 to 100x gains. So the motivation for them to take profit is pretty heavy, and if just 10% of insider stock comes onto the market, that means we're talking about $175 billion worth of new supply.
Yeah, a tsunami of new stock coming to the market. Now, in terms of what could happen over the next few weeks and months, given what we've just talked about. So first is the passive index inclusion and the passive buying. So it could mean the next 15 trading sessions, you could likely see SpaceX continue to grind higher. Indeed, today it's probably going to open up because of the markets, and as the passive index allocation happens, you're going to see more buying of SpaceX. It's also going to mean that many of the other stocks that have been big components within the NASDAQ 100 are likely to be sold to buy SpaceX. So if you guys are thinking of any sort of long-short trades on, that could be one to consider. But then once that will take place for the next 15 days or so, but then in about 6 months, when the lockups expire, expect that massive supply to hit the market, and then at that stage, the passive buying is already been done. So you've got more supply, no more buying demand. Yeah, price could fall. So
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I certainly myself didn't ape into the IPO. I think I would be tempted if that buying wave hit and we did see a correction, maybe down towards that $63 fair value. I think I'd be tempted to go in on that purely because the potential returns are so large. But it's interesting talking about orbiting data centers in space. This is obviously, this is something that if they can, pun intended, get it off the ground, could be huge. And obviously the advantage, I guess, of having data centers in space, for one thing, you've got like unfiltered solar power. And the other advantage is it's cold in space, so you don't have to worry about cooling them. But today I saw something. So China has just installed a new data center underwater.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
I think it's somewhere in the South China Sea. And apparently it uses, obviously because the seawater cools it, uses a lot less energy. It's one of the things that they're doing, because obviously they've got, they're kind of facing a similar challenge to the US. They're building out their AI industry too, and it's consuming a lot of power. But I thought that was quite an interesting contrast, really, isn't it? Do you remember the story of how the Americans about how NASA supposedly spent millions of dollars back in the day developing a pen that could write in zero gravity, and the Russians used pencils.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess the question is, where does they get the power? That's the question. Is it, how do you generate?
Well, that's the clever part. The power comes from a tidal generator. So the waves of the sea, the waves and the sea above it power this thing, and then the sea itself cools it. It's pretty clever.
Well, yeah, and it's probably a lot easier to put a data center on the bottom of the ocean than it is to send one into space. So outside of the box thinking there. But I actually broke down a bit of my thesis on the weekend for SpaceX and what I think about it in terms of, if you want to get my particular thoughts in terms of its value in that. And this is actually, we put this up on the new Coin Bureau Club Lite tier. Now, this is a different light tier from the one that's currently available, because we are going through changes in terms of membership tiers for the full club access. But what we've launched now here on YouTube is the Coin Bureau Club Lite YouTube membership. So it's basically daily market briefings from either me or Guy. We get early trend identification, institutional grade research from the rest of the team, who then it's presented by either me or Guy. Actionable ideas for you guys to act on. And then the most important thing is it's also very affordable. It's for the cost of like a Netflix subscription, $10 a month. You can get access to exclusive member gate-kept content. You don't get access to the full club, but you get a bit of a rundown of what's going on in the markets every single day into your YouTube feed. So if you want to sign up to that, you can scan the QR code or hit the link down below and go and sign up right now.
Damn right. Okay, shall we, before we go to Aaron from the TA, let's hear from our other brand partner, Coinbase. Right, folks, a quick interlude, because I think you're going to want to know this as well. Now, a lot of people still think Coinbase is just a beginner platform, but with Coinbase Advanced, that's actually changed quite a bit. You're getting lower fees, proper charting tools, real-time order books, and full control with limit and stop orders. So it all feels much closer to a professional trading setup, but without the usual complexity. So whether you're stepping up from basic apps or just want a cleaner, more reliable platform, it is definitely one to have on your radar. And if you want to try it out, there's currently a limited offer for Coin Bureau viewers. You can get $40 in Bitcoin when you trade $40. Now, this is available in the US, Canada, Europe, Singapore, and Australia, but it's capped to the first 350 people, so it may not last long. You can scan the QR code on screen now or check the link in the description and pinned comment for full details. And with that, let's get back to it.
Sweet. Thank you to Coinbase. Now, Aaron can take it away with some TA.
Aaron scans a chart, trend lines tight and true. Full of bearish, TA tells exactly what to do.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Aaron from Coin Bureau Trading. Going to do a quick analysis on Bitcoin, Ethereum, the Totalius chart, and stablecoin dominance. Now, Bitcoin has had a pretty exciting weekend from Saturday up to Sunday, moving up 3.5%. More importantly, it crossed above this level of support, which is at $63,913. So basically $64K. This is the level that if we're going to see a bullish response from Bitcoin, it has to close above this, and it did. Now, every single time that Bitcoin has been super duper oversold like this, like back over here in February, we typically see a quick snap back up to tag this pink line right here, which is called the TBO fast line. It's the fastest of 4 moving averages. I'm expecting Bitcoin to tag that, which is currently at $66,700, give or take. And once that happens, I am expecting Bitcoin to retrace back down to lose support. And this support level right here that we're going to want to watch over the next couple days, it's immediately just below 63K. But by the time Bitcoin hits it, it's probably going to be that level of support, about $64,000. But this is the level that Bitcoin has to hold. If Bitcoin does not, and I repeat, does not hold above this, but actually breaks and pierces below it just a little bit, that's going to be enough to start a chain reaction to go way back down, not just to 59K, but down to 49K. Now, Ethereum is also following suit. It also had a pretty good bullish bounce on Sunday. What's really interesting on the 4-hour time frame is that we have this long-term bounce level from Saturday, June 6th, to a higher low here on the 11th of June. And what's really interesting is that the price actually dropped below this on the weekend. And then all of a sudden, because of our Sunday pump, thanks to Donald Trump and this US-Iran peace deal, which seems flimsy to me, but we'll see what happens. The market pumped. Personally, I've never trusted a Sunday pump or a Sunday dump, and neither should you. Now I'm expecting Ethereum to actually lose this level of support and give the entire move away, if not go a lot lower. Total ES is a big reflection of Bitcoin and Ethereum, given that this is a market cap chart. Now, the big thing that's happening clearly right now is that it's not just Bitcoin and Ethereum that are looking okay. It's actually a lot of alts. Hype is up 4%. Bitcoin Cash is up. Zcash is up nearly 5%, as well as some other crazy outliers like Near and Aave on the day. So Total ES is actually kind of sort of holding up. But again, same thing. I'm expecting a slap of that level right there, which is currently at 1.96 trillion before it retraces back down. We already cracked below our February 6th pivot low on the 5th and the 6th of June. I think we're going lower. And last but not least, we have basically what I call a TBO springboard bounce. We saw stablecoin dominance combined shoot all the way up nearly to 13%, and it's pulled back here to the fast line. This is typically where we see a bounce. And if this chart bounces, that means Bitcoin and Ethereum are dumping. I have more coming out for you guys on my Coinbase trading video scheduled for tomorrow. So you want to make sure to tune in for that. And until the next time, you know what to do. Stay awesome and stay in the green. Peace.
Stay in the green and never trust a Sunday pump. Wise words, man. Yeah, it's scary. I do wonder if it's a scam pump. Let's see. Should we look at some tweets from the week?
I think we should.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. This is one of those ones you see it and you just sort of you laugh out loud, or I certainly did. So this is from Cozy Maximalist. So this was taken. I don't know, Nick, if you follow basketball at all. I certainly don't. But the New York Knicks won the NBA or something for the first time in a very long time. So there was a lot of excitement around then, and this was taken at I think the game against the Houston Spurs or whoever it was. But yeah, whoever captured that, bravo.
I want to know who we know who the three are in the first three. I don't know who they've tried to compare Ethereum to, but if I was that guy, I would probably not want to show my face ever in public again. For the internet to have compared me to Ethereum, poor lad, man.
It's priceless, isn't it? It's priceless. Very, very good. So yeah, tweet. I think that's tweet of the month. Personally, it gave me a real chuckle. Okay, next up we have this one from us.
From us, yeah.
Michael Taylor back at him.
Yeah, so basically, the full context, if you guys will recall, people took a lot of took umbrage with Saylor because he's famously said, "Never sell your Bitcoin, never sell your Bitcoin." And as we know, 3 weeks ago, he sold some Bitcoin, and his quip to that on the stage at Bitcoin Prague was, "I said never sell your Bitcoin, not my Bitcoin." So. Yeah, I think that I don't know how the crowd took that, but technically he did. He didn't. Yeah, he was right. He never said I'm never going to sell my Bitcoin. But there was cases when he said, strategy is very good at buying. We're not selling, that kind of stuff. So, but he's trying to change the wording. He's trying to move the goalpost a bit.
Yeah, I'll give him one thing. That takes balls, I think, after basically becoming public enemy number one to then rock up to a crypto conference, to a Bitcoin conference.
I mean, Bitcoin Maxi still view him as a god, bro. So, I mean, to be honest,
that's true. I mean, he probably got more adulation than hate, but yeah, good on him nonetheless. Okay, next up we have this from.
I love this.
I just love this meme in particular. I think this is great, but yeah. Tokens, AI tokens and crypto tokens. People feel very differently.
People feel that, it's crazy because I saw a lot last week, there was a headline about Citadel they released a report, and the report was titled, quote, Tokenomics. And I thought, damn, Citadel is actually talking about crypto again. No, it was a thesis on the AI token spend and the it's like, God.
First AI turned up and took all the attention, and now they're coming for tokens as well.
Man, yeah, it's totally taking over the term. It's not cool. Crypto tokens, no, but not NGMI, bro. It really is the meme.
Yeah, that's again great work, whoever came up with that. And we also have this one here from Ash Crypto. If you bought SpaceX, I knew what this was about after those first few words. If you bought SpaceX 10 minutes ago, you'd have outperformed someone holding ETH for 5 years.
Oh, it is. It's depressing. I mean, yeah, it's what more can you say, man? It's actually true. And so, well, at least, well, look, to be honest, the 5 years you took hold in ETH, you became stronger for it. You forged in steel. Your mental fortitude is much stronger because you can handle basically doing and spending 5 years of your life holding an asset that's given you no returns, and it's given you perspective on things. It's made you reconnect with your family, realizing that they were all you really needed in life. And so I suppose psychologically, you're better for holding ETH for over 5 years then. Because if you get quick rewards in life, I'm trying to find the bright side of this guy.
I'll be honest with you, Nick, you're not doing a great job of finding the but good on you for trying. Well done. Points for Oh dear. Okay, so tweets of the week. Let's cheer ourselves up with some dates for the diary, because this is another big week, isn't it?
Yep, indeed. So it starts off tomorrow with the BOJ, important decision over there, and this is the rate hike everyone has been expecting, with a 90% probability. But the most important thing to watch within that meeting is the signaling for future rate hikes. So it's not so much about the actual decision; it's about what the governors say in that meeting.
Yeah, because we know that the rate hike is priced in. We know that's coming. But yeah, if there are more rate hikes coming, that ain't priced in, and that could get ugly. So we need to watch that. And then on Wednesday, if you're a fan of central bank meetings, this week is especially for you, because it is none other than the Fed and the FOMC.
Yep, and with the Walsh press conference, it's the first major policy decision under the new Fed chair. So expect rates to be on a hold, but the meeting is significant for two other reasons. It's one, I think, is the language change. So the Fed is expected to drop the easing bias, the language from the statement, the subtle signal that rates are still more likely than the hikes, but rate cuts are more likely than rate hikes. But then also in terms of, he's going to have his own new take on the Fed speak. So we're going to have a new Fed whisperer that's going to have to pass his language and try to get a sense of what he's trying to say about future monetary policy.
Yeah, I for one as well will miss Jerome Powell's slightly sort of grumpy old man vibe. I hope Kevin Walsh is able to bring a bit of grumpiness to matters as well. We don't want him to be too perky or anything. Yeah.
Let's see. And then Friday, it's a big day because not only is it a public holiday in the US, Juneteenth, but we've got what is called a quad witching. So this is the quarterly expiration of stock options, index options, stock futures, and index futures. Damn. So it is the witching, and this means increased volatility. So positions are crowded as they are currently in terms of concentration. These potentially could lead to a lot of volatility and force an unwind, and could amplify any market moves in either direction.
Okay, maybe it's just as well that it's a public holiday then, and Americans can go out and focus on whatever happens on Juneteenth rather than go into the markets. Probably best for everyone.
Yeah, Yeah, man. No need to look at the markets. We can deal with it all over us in where the markets are open. Of course, crypto is still going to be alive and kicking. So if Americans are looking for something, if they can sell something, if they're looking to sell on the quad witching, they're probably going to just dump Bitcoin below 50K again.
Oh dear. Any Americans in the chat? What is Juneteenth about? What happens on it? Is there an age-old tradition? I've heard of it.
Isn't that the Day of Emancipation?
Is it? Okay.
I think so. I think that's what it signifies. I was trying to read up on it a bit earlier. I believe it was only officially made a public holiday in 2019. Oh, no. Was it 2019? Or recently by Joe Biden? I can't recall.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we are. Well, you learn something new every day.
Federal recognition. Juneteenth became an official U.S. federal public holiday in June 2021, largely driven by the decades-long advocacy of activist Opal Lee. Here we go, guys.
Okay.
So you don't just come here for crypto knowledge; you come here for U.S. historical history lessons as well.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching today's Holiday Bureau live stream. We will be back with more holiday-themed alpha next week.
What's the next holiday we're going to find out about?
Yeah. We'll research a banger for next week's one. Have a little slot at the end. Tell you all about a public holiday. Okay, folks. It was great to see you. Thank you for watching. We will be back next week, maybe with more public holiday information. Who knows? But in the meantime, have a wonderful week. Have a safe week, and we'll see you again soon.
I hope cryptos go up so Guy can buy a microphone for the podcast. A moment of silence for Nick as he mourns the loss of his beloved CME Gap. Nick the Teletubby, good job, I was wearing sunnies. Nick's shirt and Guy's white pasty arms. Nick the Teletubby, good job, I was wearing sunnies. Nick's shirt and Guy's white pasty arms.